Hello and welcome to The Album Man, and today I'm going to be reviewing a dramatic 10 of events by Dream Theater. So, this is Dream Theater's 11th studio album, and it is the first to not feature the drummer Mike Portnoy. I was sad when Mike Portnoy departed from Dream Theater, as in my opinion he is the greatest drummer of all time. And yes, I know that might be a very controversial statement. I love other drummers as well, Neil Peart and all of those, but in my opinion Mike Portnoy just has the edge. But the thing about Mike Portnoy, he was more than a drummer. He's one of the founders of the band, of course, and him and Petrucci really were the leaders. Mike Portnoy would go as far to create a slightly different set list depending on the city they were playing. He really was just a leader as well as a drummer. Also, songwriter. He wrote the 12-step suite about his battles of alcoholism. It was a major loss, and he is replaced by Mike Mangini, who has drummed for people like Steve Vai, or Vai even, in the past, and certainly is an accomplished and very good drummer himself. But one thing to remember is that Mike Portnoy did write already had the drums down for most of the songs on here before he left, so you can't really judge Mangini on this album, as most of the stuff he's playing was effectively written by Portnoy. Now, apparently the name on a dramatic turn of events is not a reference to Mike Portnoy's departure, and apparently it's about their musical changes and various other changes, which I sort of disagree with. It clearly does reference Mike Portnoy's departure. But this album it certainly has a different sound to some of its predecessors. It's nowhere near as heavy as something like Train of Thought. But in my opinion, this album is sort of more promoting that more ethereal, more prog sound than metal. So let's go through the track listing. On the Back of Angels, Build Me Up, Break Me Down, Lost Not Forgotten, This Is the Life, Bridges in the Sky, Outcry, Far From Heaven, Breaking All Illusions, and last, Beneath the Surface. So 9 tracks, coming in at about 70 minutes, I think, something like that. So anyway, the first track is the main single, or the only single, at least so far, and it has been nominated for Grammy for Best Hard Rock / Metal Performance of 2011, and it's actually the first Dream Theater song to do so. This is On the Back of Angels. It starts out beautiful, delicate, intricate riff from Petrucci, before the drum comes in. The intro, and this intro certainly shows, Dream Theater's prog as it progresses to that, sort of typical Dream Theater Petrucci-driven riff. And like a lot of songs on this album, I would say a lot of this album certainly does harken back to the classic Dream Theater. And also on this album, Jordan Woodess features a lot heavier. There's a lot more piano and keyboards as well. But this song, On the Back of Angels, is a really great chorus by LeBray as well. Next you get Build Me Up, Break Me Down. This is one of the catchiest songs Dream Theater have ever written. It's possibly the best song on the album, and it's just brilliant. It starts out with this sort of heavy, almost, hard rock riff, and in my opinion could easily have fitted into something like Scenes from Memory. It's just such a great song. It really is just compelling, and it shows that they're a band who have been reinvigorated. They get to Lost But Not Forgotten, coming in a good 10 minutes. It's one of those, prog song, starts gently, great piano melody by Woodess, and then, it turns, of course, into the typical Petrucci Dream Theater, but again, such a great chorus, and it also has a notable guitar solo towards the end, more delicate, not so much shredding from Petrucci, but more sort of bluesy, delicate solo. And Petrucci actually wrote most of the lyrics of this album. I'm pretty sure, except for John Mayung, was credited for the first time on a Dream Theater album since Scenes from Memory, where I think he's credited with Fatal Tragedy. I think that's it. But Petrucci pretty much wrote the lyrics for this album, and the choruses he wrote really are brilliant. Yeah, I mean, it just is. So then we get to This Is the Life. Now, this is more like a ballad, and in my opinion sounds a lot like something like Fatal Tragedy, or The Spirit Carries On from Scenes. You know, that type of... It's certainly up there with it. It certainly sounds softer than the other stuff on this album, but, you know, great guitar work, great song. And then you get to the epic 11-minute Bridges in the Sky, and it appears to start out with sounds of a toad croaking, or a really fat guy having a huge deep burp, which I don't think was really the intended sound, but hey, that's what it sounds like to me, before moving to then a choir gently singing. So after this sort of weird intro, it kicks in with the typical DT style, and, you know, builds to a great chorus, and again, just shows the reinvigoration. It just sounds fresh, and, you know, certainly shows some prog. Then Outcry, sort of, you know, powerfully driven song, the lyrics about war, and yeah, pretty much, you know, great chorus, just, you know, typical of the album. Then Far From Heaven, this is the shortest song on the album, coming in at 3 minutes and 56 seconds, and basically it is just a piano ballad. It is a lovely song, but yet does have no drums or guitar whatsoever. And if there are any drums, it's not really drums, it's more, there might be a tambourine or something, but I certainly couldn't really hear any percussion on it whatsoever. Then you get to Breaking All Illusions, which is a very keyboard-driven prog song, the longest song on the album, coming at 12:25, and it certainly has an ethereal feel to it, especially with the vocals. I mean, what a great song though, and lovely solo from Petrucci. And I'd say probably a longer Build Me Up. It's probably the, you know, joint best song on the album. So then last but not least is Beneath the Surface. This is just, you know, a nice end to the album, nice acoustic ballad. You know, and in my opinion, it's definitely up there with something like The Spirit Carries On, you know, type of ballads. So, in conclusion, I would say, you know, this isn't the album to judge Mangini, as Mike Portnoy worked most of the drums, as I said before. But this, though, they sound reinvigorated. This album makes them sound younger and fresher. I'm going to give this album, though, an 8.5 out of 10. Because although this album is, you know, it's brilliant, I would have preferred maybe a heavier song. You know, every song does have a, you know, pretty similar sound. It's not major criticism of it. I mean, I love this album. It was my second favourite album released in 2011. I love it dearly. But it would have been nice to maybe have had a couple of heavier songs on there. But anyway, so that's my review of A Dramatic Turn of Events by Dream Theater. Hope you enjoyed. Comment, rate, subscribe, and thanks for watching. Bye.